and welcome. I am Ashysource, aka Ashy, and today we are talking about Dragon Age The Veilguard again. So before we jump into that, we're going to be talking about multiple things from the original article that was released from Game Informer that they were talking about all the spoilers stuff. We're going to jump into that, and then we're going to jump into some news that they released in the last few days, plus today. So let's jump into it. If this is the kind of content that you're interested in, then you guys should like and subscribe to see more. The Game Informer article. We're starting off this video with the article that was from Game Informer, where they were talking about all the spoilers, and we're going to jump into the first quest, which was called The End of the Beginning. The beginning starts with Rook and the others. I'm guessing that's going to be Harding and Varric. They are in a bar looking for Neve. After some dialogue choices and a bar brawl cutscenes, they find out that Neve is in Dumont Plaza, in the heart of Minrathis. All heck is breaking loose in Winter. Eventually they reach Neve, who has angered blood mages and needs some help. Maybe. They describe that she is basically able to take care of herself. After fighting some demons and cultists and who are trying to take over the city amidst the chaos that's going on, after fighting they make it to Solas' hideout. His hideout has murals. The murals is symbolically taking them back in time. They find his personal illuvian. Using it takes them to the Arlanthan forest, where Solas is performing the ritual. After the cutscene that was in the gameplay, Rook passes out and wakes up in a dream-like landscape hearing Solas' voice. Solas told Rook that their blood interacted with the ritual, causing them to be connected to the Fate forever. Solas continues and explains that he was going to lock away the elven gods to a new prison since their old one was falling apart. Solas is unfortunately trapped in the Fate. After using the ritual and it backfired, like Piccolo using the Uno reverse guard on Kami with the evil containment wave in Dragon Ball, Rook is now the only one to save Thetis. Rook awakens with Harding and Neve, where they find themselves in the lair of the Dreadwolf, which is called the Lighthouse, a magical towering place that is surrounded by floating islands. Here Rook finds a large dining table with a fork, plate, knife, and a chalice. Next they need to go back to the ritual site, so they use Solas' illuvian, which can't work properly without Solas, so they are brought to somewhere in the Arlanthan forest. They are met by a demon-infested suit called a Sentinel. Before any fighting could take place, NPCs come to the rescue. Characters from the comics The Missing appear, Ireland and Strife. They are Veil Jumpers, expert in ancient elven tech. They are looking for Bellara. After apparently a lot of dialogue and choices, Rook sets forth. Bellara is deep in the forest, and after what happened in the prologue, there's something wrong here. 3 rings of rocks block what looks like a fortress plagued with sentinels. They continue through the forest in the quest in Entropy's grasp. They finally meet Bellara, who is Rook's first recruitable companion. Bellara explains that they're all trapped in a veil bubble, and there's no way out once you pass through it. During the mission, Bellara mentions that Darkspawn have never been this far before, because the underground gate roads aren't nearby. However, with the Blighted Elganon roaming around, and with the Blight's radiation-like spread, it's a bigger threat than ever before. They progress further into the forest, and Bellara spots a floating fortress, and thinks that the artifact that they need to destroy the veil bubble is in there. To reach it, they have to remove the floating rocks. Bellara must activate 3 of them in the forest to reach the fortress. Each one of them they activate will bring forth a new wave of enemies. During the enemies' encounter, Rook and the others took on a frenzy sentinel that moves faster and has more health and hits harder. After the fighting, Rook and the others make it into the center of the temple. Within the temple is a artifact known as Nadas Dalanthan, which means the inevitability of knowledge. Before Rook and the others could activate the artifact, they are attacked by a Darkspawn Ogre. The boss's attack hits pretty hard, and has unblockables, red-coated attacks, and a massive shield. They use fire magic to take him down a notch, and finish the battle. After the boss battle, Bellara uses a special crystal to activate the artifact and remove it from the pedestal, destroying the veil bubble. The artifact comes alive, becoming an archive spirit. Because the power crystal broke, the spirit disappears, and they learn little from it before it disappeared. Bellara believes that she can fix it, so Rook and the others head back to the Veil Jumpers camp, and the demo ends. My response. I'm going to talk about this for a few seconds before I jump into the news, is that I just feel like they spoiled a lot of this. This was like the first 2 quests of the game. I don't think it said 3 quests, but I thought that maybe there were 2 different quests, like the recruiting quest and that, but I think the beginning of the end is just this 1 quest. So I'm just gonna jump in really quickly because I'm gonna make a video about this anyway, but I just wanted to say this. I don't really like what they did with Solas. I know what everyone's going to say, that Solas is not supposed to be the main villain and blah blah blah. I don't think he was supposed to be the main villain. That's not the point. I just thought that he would be more of an antagonist for that. And I'm gonna mention this in a video talking about all of this stuff, but they hyped him up for like the last how many odd years, even in the Masked Empire book, and now he's just this guy that's in the Fade that's helping you. You guys are like connected and stuff like that. What are you talking through the freaking like the mirror in your house or something? Like it's some kind of Barbie movie. Like, I just feel like this was a bad idea personally to me, because I just think that Solas was hyped up to be this person, and you even get a choice in Dragon Age Inquisition to be like, I'm going to stop you or I'm going to save you, and then this random kid just pops up and being like, hey, I'm going to try to stop him. Hi, nice to meet you, Varric and Harding, I'm going to help you. And then they end up doing what the Inquisitor was supposed to do like 10 years ago. Other than that, I just feel like I have a lot more to talk about this, and I will talk about it in my Solas video where I'm talking about a lot of the stuff that I just think that they could have done with Solas more. But for now, I'm just gonna say I don't really like what they did with Solas, and I don't really like that they spoiled this. Once again, I said in my video that I was kind of angry that they spoiled this, because this was stuff that was really interesting, and to spoil it just to basically hype up your game. And then what happened if there's not as many interesting turn of events that happens, and this was one of the biggest? You just spoiled your best like turn of events ever. I just feel like it would have hit different when you played it instead of someone telling you, and you have to read that and be like, I'm shocked, but why did you do that? They could have just held off. We're gonna talk about the article that changed about them changing the name of the Dreadwolf to Veilguard. I talked about this a little bit, I think, in the last video, but like I said, they were gonna change the name because it felt like the Companions was the beating heart of this game. And I'm gonna quote some stuff. Now, I want to be clear. I adore Solas, and he plays an important role in this game, but this is not a game about Solas. So in all things we do, we are trying to capture the authentic experience. We felt the title really needed to change. Dragon Age has always been about characters and not just the villains, but also your team, your companions, and other characters in the world. And as we are building Dragon Age The Veilguard, there is an analogy I like to use, which is, if you want to carve an elephant out of marble, just take a piece of marble and remove everything that doesn't look like an elephant. As we were building this game, it became really clear it was less that we were trying to make the Veilguard and more of like the Veilguard was taking shape as we built the game. The article continues and it says, when I asked about Solas's role in the story after I learned his namesake is no longer the title of the game, Arkdara says Veilguard is still taking the Elven God narrative in a good direction. He adds, it allows us to hopefully give a good conclusion to all varied attitudes towards Solas that are going to be coming from people who love Solas, who agree with Solas, who hate Solas, people who want to kick Solas off of a building. I think that we give you the opportunity to bring that to a close, but then tell a greater story about the Veilguard and about the world as a whole. Article continues. Talking to Epler, I learned about how Solas isn't exactly the big bad I expected before seeing the opening hours of the Veilguard. There's a lot more nuance to everyone's favorite bald elf. Quote, the most interesting villains to myself, and honestly most people, are not just straight up I want to end the world to them. They are heroes of the story, and Solas is no exception. Epler tells me, Solas always feels that he is a tragic hero, but a hero nonetheless. So he's coming into this believing firmly that what he did, that which you stopped him from doing, was the right thing. That you made a mistake. Now he's trapped and can't reach out actively affect Thetis, so he needs to work with you. That allows us to provide a lot more nuance to that relationship, Epler says. You can continue to be suspicious, hostile, or you can start to see him and find common ground that connects between the two of you and really develop a different relationship over the course of the story, Epler says. My response. Them talking about this is just, it shows that they really care about Solas in the, I guess, Sovelan way, the ship name for Solas in Lovelan from the game Inquisition. And I'm just like, I kind of peed off for that. Like this, I get it that he wasn't ever supposed to be evil, like completely evil. We already knew that. You play through Trespasser, you know that he's not the fully big bad. But the problem with me is that they took it that they have to literally please those only of those fans to do that. That's so garbage. I know that it sounds mean to people who are like that, but I feel like it wasn't fair to other people who played the game and was like straight up going to make a choice of being like, I'm gonna destroy Solas because this is my playthrough. I feel like in the ending, and I personally don't think I was going to like, kill Solas or anything with my Inquisitor or anything like that. So I'm not like those people, but I feel like for your character being betrayed and then you have this other character come in and be like, hey, he's not that bad of a guy. It's just such a strange throwaway of doing that. You had this game up for like 10 years and then you're gonna just take that away from the fans being like, I made the choice. I'm gonna kill him. And then in the ending you change it that now your character can't, your Inquisitor probably cannot even meet Solas now that he's stuck in the Fade. And then you're just gonna be like, hey, Rook, I hate that guy. That guy screwed over my life. Oh, well, I think he's pretty cool. Like, that sucks. I feel like they should have done more with that. And it's one of those things that I feel like, why did you add that choice in Trespasser? Why did you do that? If he was always meant to be a hero like John Epler said, what the freak was the point of adding in there that I can't do anything to stop him? Like, even your character Rook, you don't know this guy. You are absolutely going to stop this guy because you don't freaking know him and he's just destroying the world you're living in. No matter if you're a good guy or a bad guy, you're still going to be like, this guy sucks. He's destroying the world. That's some villain behavior. Okay, I don't care about his backstory and what he does. I'm a random person. I'm going to stop that guy. That's your character. Literally, that's engraved in your character. Even if you roleplay, they literally made that's Rook's point of view. I like this. I think that people who like Solas, absolutely fine. That's like different point of view. But for me, as a person who did not like Solas that much, and my Inquisitor was legitimately heartbroken that their friend was like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna kill all humans just to let set them free, you know? Thanks. And then like you're just sitting there being like, what? You're gonna blow up the sky after everything I did? And you're gonna do it again? Like, that's the problem. I feel like people are forgetting. Like, you're Inquisitor. You didn't romance this guy and, and you feel like, oh, he's doing something wrong. I have to stop him. Like, in the romantic sense. If you're a friend, you're like, I'm gonna stop you because you're freaking crazy. You broke my friendship here, okay? What was happening here? We were friends. And then you're gonna go turn people to stone and say you're gonna blow up the sky? I can't have that villain behavior here. So either if you're like, I'm going to destroy you or stop you, I feel like in the ending you gave your character a choice and then it doesn't matter. And this is some Dragon Age 2 reminding me of stuff like that. So I feel like, I know I'm going on a rant, but I just feel like this was so stupid and it bothers the crap out of me, and I feel like it should have never been a mention because it makes me angry. Like, I'm gonna play the game no matter what, but it just makes me angry that I feel like one of my choices that I was really excited for to stop Solas was now just downgraded to, hey, he's now your friend. Enjoy that choice. You're like, no, I'm not gonna enjoy that choice. How dare you do that to me? Moving on to the next article. In this article, they talk about factions as classes. This came out today while I'm recording this, so I'm gonna try to get this out by Wednesday if I can. So I'm gonna jump into this and we're gonna talk about classes. Rogue. They talk about rogues. They have 3 specializations. They have Duelist, the fastest of the 3, with 2 blades and for rapid strikes. They also have Saboteur. I feel like I said that wrong. But it uses tricks and traps. I'm pretty sure they had something like that in the Inquisition if it wasn't the same thing. They have Veil Ranger. It's a purely range and snipping enemies from afar with a bow. Next is Mage. Utilize Necromancy with the Deathcaller specialization. Evoker. Wield fire, ice, and lightning. The Spellblade uses magic-infused melee attacks. I was asking for this. I've been begging for this. To have magic-infused melee attacks, and apparently you can use them to do like quick dash and stuff like that. Apparently, I think I read something on there that said you could basically use stuff like quick dash and stuff like that with it. That's amazing. I need this. The Warrior can become a Reaper, who uses Night Blades to steal life and risk death to gain unnatural abilities. A Slayer, a simple and strong 2-handed weapon expert. The Champion, a tactical defense fighter. I feel like they could have added on more for these. All these specializations don't matter up front. You can class into them via the skill tree as you progress through the game. It's nice to see the potential of each class before you choose it. Factions. Each faction has a unique casual wear, which can be worn in specific cutscenes when the character isn't donning the armor, and 3 unique traits. The Lords of Fortune, for example, can gain a reputation with this particular faction, have increased damage versus mercenaries, and perform takedowns on enemies with slightly less effort. Veilguard game director says that the faction selection, which ties to your character's backstory, determines who your work was before and how they met Varric and why they travel with Varric instead of their faction and more. I'm guessing they're not gonna really show you a cutscene with that, and if they do, I would be genuinely surprised. But this sounds like some stuff from like Mass Effect 1 where you had to choose your backstory, and then after you chose your backstory you get like one quest and they're like, oh, it's that guy who your mom knew or something like that. Like, I feel like it's gonna be like that. It's not bad, it's just that I wish that they gave you something more meatier, but whatever. The message of the Veilguard is that you're not saving the world on your own. You need your companions, but you also need these factions, these other groups in the world. Jonathan says that you help them and they help you now. He says the bioware wanted to avoid the trope of needing to gather 200 random sources and objects before helping you save the world. Instead, the team aimed to create factions that want to help you, but you have realistic challenges and problems in front of them. So narratively, it makes sense that why you help them in return for their help when the time comes. I feel like it's gonna be like Dragon Age Origins, where you had to basically help these people, like, okay, the werewolves, I had to help them with the elves, and you had to help like the circle, and then you could get the circle into your party like later on. I feel like that's what they're gonna try to do with this, but with 6 I'm gonna be very interested in what you have to do for them, and I really hope they're not main quest only, and that's what they're gonna do to make the story meatier, that you have to literally do all of these quests to basically get through the main story, and then there's not as many story mission quests. They're just the faction quests. But anyway, let's move on. Gameplay wise, each of our classes has a specialization. Each of them is tied to a faction. Epler continues, beyond that, each faction has a companion, as well as people we are calling agents ancillarily, who exist as faces of these factions. We didn't want to just say, here's the Grey Wardens and go deal with them. We wanted characters within the faction who are sympathetic, who you see and become the faces of the faction, so that even if there are moments where the factions as a whole may be out of the count with you, these characters are still with you. They've got your back. You can change your work's appearance. You can change them using the Mirror of Transformation, found in the main Veilguard hub, the lighthouse. But anyway, this was a decent one. This was their newest article. I'm gonna put all of these in the description so you guys can check them out. But yeah, that's all what I have today. I know I had a little rant in the middle half of this, but that was a little bit too much. But I will have a video about that, and it's gonna probably be more ranty, but I'm gonna just make sure that I wanted to get my point across, that I just don't like what they did with Solas, and I just think that this was a strange change of pace from what we got from Trespasser, that, oh, this guy's a big bad, and then suddenly he's the good guy. Okay, he joins your team. He's your new advisor. Like this guy. But that's all for today. This is all the information. More news comes out, I will cover it. But for now, this is all we have. They said that the actual journalist for the story said that there are going to be some stories coming out here and there. So maybe we'll get some more every other day. But for now, we have only like these 3 or 4 of them from him, I'm pretty sure. So I covered some of them in the other video, and now I'm covering the newest ones in this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. If this is what you guys like to see, tell me in the comments. And how do you guys feel about the changes of the story and stuff like that? How do you guys feel about Solas changing and how all of this stuff happened? How do you guys feel about the story? I genuinely want to hear your opinions. So if you guys have anything to say about it, leave it in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time. Bye!
Whoa, 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 I'm just a man missing you. Please understand, without you